He told me he was sick with a migraine and went to bed early. But at 10:43 p.m. I got a video. It was him, at a bar, kissing another woman. And that was the moment I realized I'd been engaged to a stranger. That morning I didn't sex scream. I didn't set cry. I hit send in our wedding group chat, 147 guests. His family, our friends, and told them the truth. The wedding was off, because my fiancé was a liar and a cheater. My name is Alyssa, and 3 weeks ago I was planning my dream wedding in Denver. Today, I'm single, vindicated, and honestly I've never felt more free. But before I get to the satisfying part, let me take you back to where this all started. To the night I thought my fiancé was homesick with a migraine. Jake and I had been together for 4 years, engaged for the last 10 months. We met at a friend's housewarming party in Loda. And from that first conversation over craft cocktails, I thought I'd found my person. He was charming, ambitious, worked in tech consulting, and had this way of making me feel like I was the only woman in the room. Looking back now, I realize that should have been my first red flag. Guys who are that smooth, they've usually had plenty of practice. But I was 28. All my friends were getting married, and Jake seemed like everything I'd been looking for. He was attentive, romantic, always posting about us on social media. My mom adored him. My dad said he was the first boyfriend of mine he actually liked. Even my super protective older brother gave his approval. And trust me, that never happens. We moved in together after 18 months, got engaged 2.5 years in, and started planning a wedding that was going to be absolutely perfect. 150 guests at this gorgeous mountain venue just outside Denver, string lights, mountain views, the whole Pinterest dream board come to life. And if you're watching this from Denver or anywhere in Colorado, let me know in the comments. I'm curious how many of you might have actually heard about this story when it happened, because it spread through our social circles like wildfire. I need to be honest about something here. Jake wasn't perfect, and I knew that. He was incredibly social, maybe a little too flirty at parties, definitely enjoyed being the center of attention. When we'd go out to bars in Reno or hit up rooftop parties downtown, he was always the guy making everyone laugh, buying rounds of shots, turning every night into an event. Sometimes I'd catch him being a little too friendly with other women, a hand on the lower back here, a whispered joke there, numbers being exchanged for networking. But whenever I brought it up, he'd pull me close and say, "Babe, you know you're the only one I want. I'm just being friendly. That's how I am with everyone." And I believed him. God, I was such an idiot. I believed him because when you love someone, when you're building a life with them, you don't want to see the warning signs. You explain them away. You tell yourself you're being paranoid, jealous, insecure. You ignore that little voice in your head that whispers something isn't right. That Friday started like any other. I got home from my marketing job around 5:30, exhausted from back-to-back client meetings and a presentation that had gone sideways. All I wanted was to pour a glass of wine, order Thai food, and binge-watch something mindless on Netflix. Jake was already home when I walked in, which was unusual. He typically worked until at least 7. I found him in our bedroom, lying on top of the covers with his arm over his eyes. "Hey babe," I said, setting down my work bag. "You okay?" He groaned dramatically. "Migraine, the bad kind. I had to leave work early." I immediately went into caring fiancé mode. "Oh no, did you take your medication? Want me to get you anything?" "Already took it," he mumbled. "I just need to sleep it off. Probably gonna be out for the night." I kissed his forehead gently. "Okay, I'll sleep in the guest room so I don't disturb you. Text me if you need anything." He squeezed my hand weakly. "You're the best, love you." "Love you too." I quietly closed the bedroom door and headed to the kitchen, actually kind of excited about having the living room to myself for the evening. I could watch all the reality TV he hated without any commentary. I ordered pad thai, poured that wine, and settled in for what I thought would be a peaceful night alone. Around 10:45, my phone buzzed with an Instagram notification. It was from Megan, one of Jake's coworkers' girlfriends. We weren't super close, but we'd hung out at company events and she'd been invited to the wedding. She'd sent me a video. I almost didn't open it right away. I was deeply invested in an episode of Love Island. But something made me click on it, and the moment I did, my blood turned to ice. The video was clearly from inside a club, one of those trendy places in Lodoo with the exposed brick and Edison bulbs. The music was loud, bodies were everywhere, and right there in the center of the frame was Jake. My Jake. The one with the debilitating migraine who couldn't even open his eyes 2 hours ago. But that wasn't even the worst part. He wasn't just out at a club when he was supposed to be homesick. He was wrapped around some blonde woman I'd never seen before. Her hands in his hair, his hands on her waist, and they were kissing. Not a friendly peck, not a drunken mistake, full-on making out like they'd done it 100 times before. The video was maybe 10 seconds long, but those 10 seconds completely shattered the life I thought I had. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. I watched it again, then again, trying to convince myself I was seeing things wrong. Maybe it was someone who looked like Jake. Maybe it was an old video. Maybe I was having some kind of stress-induced hallucination. But I knew that shirt. I'd bought it for him last month. I knew that watch, it was the one I'd given him for his birthday, and I knew that way he held someone when he kissed them, because he used to hold me like that. My first instinct was to storm into our bedroom and confront him right then and there, but something stopped me. Maybe it was shock, maybe it was self-preservation, but instead of confronting him, I decided to test him first. I texted him, "Hey babe, feeling any better?" The response came back surprisingly fast for someone supposedly knocked out with a migraine. "Still pretty out of it. Probably going to sleep through the night. Don't wait up. Love you." I actually laughed out loud, not because anything was funny, but because the audacity was so breathtaking I didn't know how else to react. He was literally at a club making out with another woman while texting me about being sick in bed. The level of disrespect was so complete, so casual that it actually calmed me down. Because in that moment I realized this wasn't his first time. Someone doesn't lie that smoothly, that confidently, unless they've been doing it for a while. So instead of confronting him, I decided to do something else. I decided to investigate. I started with his Instagram, which he'd conveniently left logged in on our iPad. As I scrolled through his messages with fresh eyes, I found her almost immediately. Brittany, 25 years old, worked at a yoga studio in Cherry Creek, and based on their message history, they'd been talking for at least 6 months. 6 months. While I was sampling wedding cakes, he was sending her good morning texts. While I was addressing save the dates, he was making plans to meet her for lunch. While I was trying on wedding dresses with my mom and sister, he was telling her how amazing she looked in her workout photos. But the Instagram messages were just the tip of the iceberg. See, Jake had made one crucial mistake. He'd put me on his phone plan to save money, and as the primary account holder, I had access to everything. Call logs, text records, all of it. What I found made me physically sick. Late-night calls that lasted over an hour. Hundreds of texts per day. And not just with Brittany. There were at least 2 other numbers that showed up repeatedly. Calls and texts at all hours, patterns that went back over a year. A year. An entire year of lying to my face, of pretending to work late, of mysterious migraines and sudden work trips and nights out with the boys. An entire year of making me feel crazy for questioning him, of gaslighting me into thinking I was just being paranoid. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I just sat there on the couch going through evidence like some kind of detective, building a case that I didn't even want to be true. By the time the sun came up, I had screenshots of everything. Every message, every call log, every flirty Instagram comment. I even found Venmo transactions between them. He'd been buying her dinner, sending her money for gas, even paying for what looked like a weekend trip to Aspen that he told me was a work conference. When Jake finally emerged from the bedroom around 9 the next morning, looking perfectly healthy and migraine-free, I was still on the couch where he'd left me the night before. "Morning, babe," he said, stretching, like he'd had the best sleep of his life. Feeling so much better, that medication really knocked me out. I looked at him, really looked at him, and marveled at how easily the lies came. No hesitation, no guilt, just smooth deception delivered with a smile and a kiss on my forehead. "Glad you're feeling better," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Must have been a rough one." "The worst," he agreed, already heading to the kitchen to make coffee. "I was out cold by like 8 o'clock, didn't even hear you come to bed." "That's because I didn't come to bed," I thought, "and you weren't here to notice." I let him go through his whole morning routine. Shower, coffee, checking his phone while pretending to read news articles. He was probably texting Brittany, maybe making plans for their next hookup, completely oblivious to the fact that his world was about to implode. "Hey," I said casually, weird question, "but did you go anywhere last night? I thought I heard the door." He didn't even look up from his phone. "Nope, was in bed all night, you must have been dreaming." That's when I pulled up the video on my phone and slid it across the counter to him. I've never seen someone's face change so fast. He went from casual and relaxed to pale and panicked in about 2 seconds. His mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air, and for once in his lying life, Jake had absolutely nothing to say. "Migraine looks pretty cured to me," I said, my voice eerily calm. He tried to recover. I'll give him that. After about 30 seconds of stunned silence, he attempted to flip the script. "Babe, she's just a friend. We were out with a group. It's not what it looks like." "Brittany?" I interrupted. "The yoga instructor you've been texting for 6 months? Or is this one of the other ones?" His face went even paler, if that was possible. How did I know? Maybe because you put me on your phone plan? Genius. Or because you left your Instagram logged in on the iPad? Or because you're really bad at hiding Venmo transactions? Take your pick." He switched tactics then, going from denial to damage control. "Okay. Yes, I've been talking to her, but it's not serious. It doesn't mean anything. You're the one I'm marrying." "Were," I corrected. Past tense. "Alyssa, please. Let's talk about this. We can go to counseling. It was a mistake. I was stressed about the wedding." I actually laughed at that one. Stressed about the wedding? So stressed that you've been cheating for over a year? That's an interesting coping mechanism. And if you're still watching at this point, do me a favor and hit that like button, because trust me, what happens next is absolutely worth it. He tried everything over the next hour. Tears, begging, promises to change, even trying to blame me for being distant lately. But I wasn't interested in his excuses or his crocodile tears. I was interested in something much more satisfying, making sure everyone knew exactly who Jake Morrison really was. See, we weren't having some small, intimate wedding. This was going to be an event. 150 guests, a $20,000 venue, custom invitations, the works. Both our families were flying in. His college buddies were coming from the East Coast. My sorority sisters had already booked hotels. We had a massive group chat for wedding updates. Literally everyone who mattered in our lives was in that chat. While Jake was in the shower, probably trying to figure out how to salvage this, I was adding people to that group chat. His boss, who thought Jake was such a stand-up guy. His gym buddies, who were always commenting about how lucky he was to have me. Some extended family members who hadn't been invited yet but deserved to know what kind of man they'd been defending at family dinners. By the time I was done, that chat had grown from about 90 people to nearly 200. And Jake had absolutely no idea what was coming. I spent the rest of that Saturday playing the part of the processing fiancé. I let him think he might have a chance to fix this. I nodded when he suggested couples therapy. I didn't disagree when he said we should take some time to think before making any rash decisions. I even let him sleep in our bed that night while I took the guest room, letting him believe that maybe, just maybe, he could talk his way out of this. But while he slept peacefully, probably dreaming of ways to manipulate me back into trusting him, I was lying awake planning his complete and total social destruction. Sunday morning, I waited until exactly 10 a.m., late enough that everyone would be awake and checking their phones over coffee, but early enough that the news would have all day to spread. Then I opened that wedding group chat and typed out the message that would end Jake's life as he knew it. Good morning, everyone. I need to inform you that the Morrison-Rivera wedding is officially canceled. I discovered that Jake has been cheating on me for over a year with multiple women, including while pretending to be sick at home just 2 nights ago. I've attached screenshots of the evidence for those who need proof. To our vendors, I'll be in touch about cancellations tomorrow. To our guests, I'm sorry for any inconvenience with your travel plans. To Jake's family, I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but you should know who your son really is. And to Jake, since I know you're reading this, your stuff will be in boxes on the curb by noon. Don't bother coming inside. Then I attached everything. The video from the club, screenshots of his Instagram messages with Brittany, the suspicious Venmo transactions, even a particularly damning text where he called me clingy to one of his side pieces, the complete evidence file of Jake Morrison's betrayal delivered to everyone he knew in one devastating blow. The group chat exploded within seconds. Jake's mom was first. This has to be a mistake. Jake would never. Then his sister, oh my god, Jake, is this real? My best friend, holy shit. His best man, dude, what the fuck? My dad simply wrote, Jake, you're lucky we're not in the same state right now. The notifications were coming so fast, my phone was basically having a seizure. But the best part was watching Jake's phone on his nightstand, lighting up like a Christmas tree as message after message poured in. He woke up to the sound of his phone vibrating off the nightstand, grabbed it sleepily, and then I heard it, a strangled gasp that turned into something between a sob and a scream. Aliesa, he came flying out of the bedroom, phone in hand, his face a mask of complete horror. What did you do? What did you do? I took a sip of my coffee, perfectly calm. Oh, I just thought everyone should know why the wedding's off. You said it wasn't serious with Brittany, right? So this shouldn't be a big deal. You posted this in our wedding chat? He was literally shaking. My boss is in there. My parents. My grandmother. I know, I said simply. They deserve to know what kind of man you are. His phone started ringing, then his mom calling. He answered on the first ring, his voice cracking. Mom, I can explain. I couldn't hear her side of the conversation, but based on the way Jake's face crumbled, it wasn't going well. The call lasted maybe 30 seconds before she apparently hung up on him. Then his dad called. That conversation was even shorter. Then his boss called. Jake didn't even answer that one. Within an hour, the story had escaped the group chat and was spreading across social media like wildfire. Someone, I suspect my petty best friend Rachel, had screenshotted my message and posted it on Facebook with the caption, "This is why you don't cheat on a woman who has receipts. Team Alyssa." The comments were absolutely brutal. Imagine fumbling a woman like that for some yoga instructor. His poor mother, OMG. The Venmo transactions, I'm screaming. Jake Morrison is literally never showing his face in Denver again. By noon, Jake had lost more than just me. His parents told him not to come to family Christmas. His boss sent a very cold email about re-evaluating his position, given his questionable judgment and integrity. Half our friend group locked him completely. The other half only kept him around for the drama. His gym buddies roasted him in their group chat so badly that screenshots ended up on Twitter. The yoga studio where Brittany worked apparently found out and she got fired for conduct unbecoming of their brand values. Even his beloved Denver Broncos fantasy football league kicked him out, saying they couldn't trust someone who lies that much. The venue wouldn't refund our deposit, but since my name was on all the contracts, I turned our wedding into a massive dodged-a-bullet party. Same date, same venue, same catering, but instead of celebrating a marriage, we celebrated my freedom. My dad gave a toast about integrity that had Jake's former groomsmen cringing. My mom did shots with my friends. My brother spent the night telling everyone the story of how Jake got exposed in the group chat, adding dramatic embellishments with each retelling. Jake tried everything to salvage his reputation. He posted a long, pathetic Instagram note about growth and learning from mistakes. He tried to spin it as a moment of weakness instead of a year-long pattern of deception. He even had the audacity to suggest that I had violated his privacy by sharing personal information with our friends and family. Nobody bought it. The comments under his apology post were so savage that he ended up deleting his entire Instagram account, then Twitter, then Facebook. Within 2 weeks, Jake Morrison had been completely digitally exiled from Denver's social scene. The last time I heard from him was 3 weeks after everything went down. He sent me this long, rambling email about how I'd ruined his life and how he'd lost everything because I couldn't handle things privately like adults. I read it, laughed, and forwarded it to the group chat with the caption, "Still playing the victim, I see." Then I blocked his email and moved on with my life. Because here's the thing about betrayal. It teaches you exactly who you are and what you're worth. Jake thought I was weak, that I'd crumble, that I'd take him back because I wouldn't want to lose the wedding, the relationship, the future we'd planned. He thought I loved him more than I loved myself. He was wrong. I lost a fiancé, but I gained something so much more valuable, self-respect and the knowledge that I could survive anything. I also gained a really great story that makes me a legend at parties. So if you're watching this and you've ever been cheated on, lied to, or made to feel crazy for trusting your instincts, just remember, you deserve someone who chooses you every single day, not just when it's convenient. You deserve honesty, respect, and genuine love, not whatever performance Jake was putting on. And if you enjoyed this story, consider subscribing to my channel. I share real stories every week about relationships, betrayal, and sometimes sweet, sweet revenge, because if my disaster of an engagement taught me anything, it's that we all need to hear that we're not alone in dealing with life's plot twists. As for Jake, last I heard, he moved to Phoenix to start fresh, where nobody knew about his group chat humiliation. But Phoenix has social media too, and screenshots are forever. Good luck with that fresh start, Jake. Brittany tried to reach out to apologize once, saying she didn't know he was engaged. I actually felt a little bad for her until I remembered that she kept seeing him even after she found out about me, so she got exactly what she deserved too. My wedding dress, sold it and used the money for a solo trip to Italy where I spent 2 weeks drinking wine, eating pasta, and not thinking about Jake Morrison even once. The ring, sold that too and donated the money to a women's shelter, turning his broken promise into something that could actually help people. The friend who sent me that video, Megan, she's one of my best friends now. She later admitted it wasn't an accident. She knew exactly what she was doing when she sent it. She'd apparently seen Jake with Brittany before and had been waiting for the right moment to expose him. She's the real MVP of this story, and she was my maid of honor at my actual wedding 2 years later to someone who would never dream of pretending to have a migraine while sneaking off to clubs. That's right. Plot twist. I'm married now to an amazing man named David, who knows this entire story and loves to tell people how his wife is the queen of nuclear revenge. He jokes that he would never dare cross me after seeing what I did to Jake, but the truth is, he would never want to. That's what a real partner does. They choose you, again and again, even when you're not in the room. So thank you for watching this absolute roller coaster of a story. Drop a comment letting me know what you would have done in my situation. Would you have handled it privately or gone full nuclear like I did? And remember, the best revenge isn't just living well. It's making sure everyone knows exactly why you're living better without them. Until next time, this is Alyssa, reminding you to trust your gut, keep your receipts, and never ever settle for someone who thinks you're too stupid to catch them in their lies. Peace out, and remember, migraines don't cure themselves at nightclubs.